I grew up as a project kid back in '42. Couldn't afford college or anything like that. We had to pay. So I took the test for City College and I wound up in getting into Baruch. I worked for the IRS and I was going to law school at night. I started looking at ads. It wanted somebody who could prepare federal tax returns. So I told my wife, let me take a shot. I mean, I examined them. How hard could it be to prepare them? I took the job at Metromedia preparing tax returns. I didn't realize how hard it was to prepare a tax return. '81, I became the CFO. And then things started to happen. A lawyer comes to us, a broadcasting lawyer from DC. He says, you know, on June 7th, you got to file for applications for Cellular. We said, what's Cellular? Found out that the only competitor was going to be the phone company, which right away got us excited because that means you have no competitor. The phone companies have never competed against anybody else. They controlled everything. Back in those days, nobody understood anything about cellular. Most of the public, including the broadcasting analysts and things like that, thought that this was just going to be a replacement for the car phone. When I was a kid in the '40s, I was a big fan of Dick Tracy. They introduced in the cartoon the two-way radio watch. This was, wow, you could talk on your watch to other people. This was amazing. Never left my mind. But I figured obviously they're not going to build a watch first. They'll build some sort of a phone, which was, if you recall back then, it was a huge gray brick. People were enamored, and I felt that the technologists would really take this to another level. All of our markets were top 10 markets, and we represented a huge population.
As the licenses started getting let, it was like a big monopoly game. Everybody wanted to have their own license. But it turns out that the applicants, you had graphic scanning applying in all the markets. There were a number of companies filing in multiple markets, and they had to do the monopoly playing. I'll trade you this Park Place for Boardwalk, whatever. And it was a Wild West activity.
And we decided, all right, we're not going to do all 30. I mean, basically, when I came back, you needed books and this, and we could only afford to buy a certain amount of paging companies. I really didn't have the cash. So we picked top 10. By the end of '83, we were down to $22 a share. And John and I decided, you know, they don't believe us, we believe us, and this cellular could be a thing that, who knows, we had no idea of value. Let's take the company private. We went out to see Michael Milken, and he said, I can refinance your entire debt.
I cannot think of anyone over the last more than 50 years who better understood capital structure and the future, doing the largest, most complicated bond deal ever in the mid-'80s to unlock the value for Metromedia.
We were lucky to be at the door of the creation of a whole new methodology of communication that would take over the world. Still here, it was sort of the crowning piece of everything that I was doing, because we got an opportunity to be in technology that was first beginning, that nobody understood.
In all my representation, I never knew whether it was more difficult representing Stu or being on the other side of Stu. Stu's an interesting guy. He got a great sense of humor. He loves the practical jokes. So when he would ask a question on either side, I didn't know if it was he really wanted advice, whether he was testing to see if I knew the answer to a question he already knew the answer to, or whether he was playing with my mind.
Built a great company in Metromedia and laid the groundwork. Trailblazing work in the wireless industry. You made it happen. Your vision. Congratulations, Stuart.